My name is Jeff Jones. It's my pleasure to serve as the Vice Provost for Regional Campuses at UCF. I want to welcome all of you here this morning. It's certainly great to see everyone getting together. This is the 9th annual College Access Summit. That's worthy of a round of applause, isn't it? I think in our business, anytime you can sustain anything for years or more, and we certainly aren't on the verge of sunsetting this operation, let me tell you. This is a lot of energy, and we will continue to build that energy today. Let me first of all welcome the newest partner for our Direct Connect. Interim President Tom Labasso is here with us this morning from Daytona State College. And if the rest of our partners from Daytona State would stand, I would love to welcome them all this morning. Again, I think the energy that surrounds this effort is always undeniable to me. This is where the work gets done, where people get together to really talk about the future of Direct Connect and the positive impact that we realize on providing access and success for the students we serve. So this, again, is such important work that you're doing, and I appreciate very much you spending time with us, with your colleagues, and taking time away from your busy schedules to ensure that our students have the best possible experiences at our respective institutions. I want to introduce several people this morning, but let me start with two of our colleagues who have traveled from New York to be with us today. First of all, Martin Kurzweil and Jesse Brown. Martin and Jesse are with Ithaca S&R, which is a not-for-profit focused on building a knowledge base about innovation in higher education that improves student outcomes and contains costs. They're currently doing a profile on UCF Online and Direct Connect with the intention of we will become part of a case study series on educational transformation. So I'm sure that you will welcome Jesse and Martin today as they circulate among you to try to observe parts of what we work on together and certainly gain knowledge about Direct Connect. So thank you very much for that. It's also my pleasure, and we appreciate very much the hospitality shown by Valencia College, to introduce President Sandy Shugart. Sandy has served as president of Valencia College since the year, thank you, since the year 2000. Valencia College serves over 70,000 students per year. Please welcome Sandy to give us some introductory remarks this morning.
My welcome to Jeff's and others, and you've got some really interesting and productive work to do today, and so I don't want to take away from that. I would set the stage by saying just a couple things. The first is, in almost all the rest of the country, the old paradigm of higher education is still alive and well. It's in real trouble. And the old paradigm was institutional self-absorption. We're all, we're a destination. Everyone should want to come here because here is where everything happens. Just a very silly idea if you think about it, when the real paradigm ought to be bridge. We're a bridge to take you someplace you really want to go and to make a difference in life. And once you accept the bridge paradigm, you have to give up on the self-absorption because each of us represents only a portion of the bridge. So we got to build it together, end-to-end design. Nobody wants to cross a bridge that was completed in phases by 4 different engineering firms and 4 different architects over a 40-year period. They want an integrated solution when you cross that bridge, and that's what we're trying to re-engineer here. The second thing that's a part of the old paradigm is that excellence necessarily means exclusivity. That you measure your worth by the number of qualified people you turn away, rather than by the talent you actually discover and develop. These are 2 really important changes in the underlying paradigm of education. And there are only a few places in the country that are pioneering this. One of them is here. This is, a lot of folks are watching us to see if the new paradigm can work, and just what it's going to take to fully integrate our work so the bridge is one experience. Another is Arizona, particularly in the greater Phoenix area, and you're going to hear more about that in a few minutes. And we're watching them, and they're watching us, and it's like having a fellow companion on the road to compare notes with. And we've got just the best voice in America to speak about work with you today. So please take advantage of her in all the right ways. The last thing I'd say is the design principle that served us best over the years in this meeting and others is to remember that the college experience, the college is what the students experience, period. It's how they experience us that counts, not how we experience them. It's a really hard discipline to keep in the front of your mind because our deep habits are about us. We're here all the time. We're here for years and years on end. They come and go. We measure things in units that make sense to the way we experience them. Those measurements often hide what they actually experience. So to keep on the table the design the question, what is it we really want the student, the learner, to experience? The last comment is this. How many of you are in public school work here? Just a few? None? Okay. This meeting is designed mostly around the integration of our higher education consortium here, but very soon this same conversation is going to have to reach back because the bridge doesn't start in freshman year. So you might want to have that in the back of your mind, imagining what kind of work we all together can do with some amazing school districts to change the experience students have, especially the experience the students who aren't coming to us now might have, that would put them on the bridge to a better future as well. So those are my short ideas for you. Take them for what they're worth or not. But do enjoy our hospitality. And if there's anything we can do for you, I've always found Valencia to be a remarkably hospitable place. So if you work at Valencia, raise your hand. Y'all notice who's raising. You can ask any of them anything, and they'll pretend they know the answer and get you what you need. Thanks for being here.
Sandy. I also want to introduce to you this morning my close friend and colleague, Dr. Manoj Chopra. Manoj has been serving since the first of the year, really, as the interim dean of undergraduate studies. I'm going to allow him to tell you a little bit more about that, as well now as the interim vice provost for teaching and learning. Manoj is a professor of civil engineering, has served on the UCF Board of Trustees, as well as on the State University System of Florida Board of Governors. So he not only knows how we work, but he knows how others view our work. So thank you very much, Manoj, for being with us, and the floor is yours.
Good morning to how to do things right. And I want to change this slightly to Student Success Summit, because I think this is the way we help students succeed. So I'm very excited to be a part of this. And Jeff mentioned my new role. We've done some reorganization, and we now have a vice provost area for teaching and learning, and that's what I do. Also, it's an interim role. We are looking for a permanent person there. And also, I'm excited to be the dean of the Office of Undergraduate Studies, and I put some emphasis on the office for now, because we have proposed and have gotten approval for eventually making it the College of Undergraduate Studies at UCF. It's gone through most of the approvals and is now waiting for our trustees to approve it. I do want to personally welcome Daytona State to this exciting partnership. Jeff mentioned my tenure on the Board of Governors. I can tell you on a daily basis, direct connect comes up as how to do things right, how things should be done, and of course we are a role model across the country. We have Dr. Hess here, she'll tell you more, but I was in Delane over there, I see Delane, and Melody, I guess. Are you here, Melody? We were in Arizona, at Arizona State for 4 days for our University Innovation Alliance meetings. and we had the chance to listen to President Crow. And every time I hear him, I'm excited about partnerships. I'm excited about access and how access can lead to significant success. And that's his message. And so we are all out here to embrace that. A couple of things. It is your collective effort in meetings like this that lead to good things that come out of these partnerships. And so I know you have a full agenda, and I look forward to spending some time with you this morning before I head back. And we are working on our campus, and I see a lot of the people involved in our campus on the Foundations of Excellence initiative. I believe Valencia went through that as well. And that is another example of how to do things right. So my co-lead, Jenny Sumner's here in the back, and Chanda Torres. And it's an exciting project for us. We are looking at the overall transfer success, the transfer experience, and from a faculty perspective, student success. And I can tell you, when I used to teach engineering courses, I would have a large number of transfer students, and I felt that they were well prepared, they were ready for, besides the shock factor, which we will look at, and I work very closely. In fact, I think the person teaching statics on this campus is a student of mine. So we work very closely together with content and with the success and outcomes. So I'm very excited to be back on this campus again. I've had the chance to be here a couple of times for steering committee and other meetings, and I would like to continue to be involved with all aspects of Direct Connect and other such initiatives. So thank you. The Foundations of Excellence is coming to an end on our campus, and I believe we have a lot of things that we will go into implementation stage together with. So I look forward to spending more time with you. Again, thank you, and thank you, President Sugar.
Call upon my colleague, Angie Peterson. Angie is the Associate Vice President for Regional Campuses, and she will introduce our keynote speaker this morning. Angie?
Thank you, and this is number 9. Can you believe it? I just want to shout out for everybody, and there's a few in the room that we've all looked at each other and we go, we've been here for every one of them, and how wonderful it is that we have this opportunity now to reach out and share best practices with another institution, which is an aspirational peer for UCF, and that would be Arizona State University. And yesterday, some of the folks at Valencia, myself, and Dr. Hesse had an opportunity to share some thoughts, and then in the afternoon, Marie and I went to lunch, and I do have to tell a little story about that. We started talking about our families, and you know how you have these informal conversations, and found out that at about the same time in our brief history, we were in Leavenworth, Kansas, probably about the same time. I moved every 3 years growing up, lived all over the United States. Maria's lived all over the world. Her dad was in the Army. My dad was a JCPenney manager. And it's just amazing that we were in Leavenworth, Kansas at the same time where my son is now stationed. As a result of this story, she continues to tell about her father, who is 93 years old, part of Tom Brokaw's Greatest Generation, who will be going back. The family will be taking him back to West Point to celebrate his 70th class reunion at West Point. Such a heartwarming story. Maria Hesse serves as Vice Provost for Academic Partnerships at Arizona State University, helping create and sustain productive relationships with community colleges and other organizations. Prior to joining ASU in 2009, Dr. Hesse served as President and Chief Executive Officer for Chandler Gilbert Community College, one of the Maricopa community colleges in the Phoenix metropolitan area. She served the Maricopa Community College system for 25 years, with short stints at 2 other colleges and a district office, before spending 20 years at CGCC. She was founding administrator of CGCC, try to say that too many times, and over the years served as a faculty member, Chief Student Affairs Officer, Chief Academic Officer, and President. During her years there, the college grew from the first students and the first bricks to 3 campus locations serving nearly 20,000 students in the metropolitan area. Her current work at ASU is focused on improving the transfer process and transfer student success toward completion of baccalaureate degree, very similar to what we're doing with Direct Connect to UCF and our mission. New annual transfer student enrollment has nearly doubled in the past 5 years, with more than 13,000 new transfer students at ASU this year. And of those students come from one of the 10 Maricopa community colleges. Maria will be describing the evolution of the Maricopa to ASU Pathways program this morning, and it is my greatest pleasure to introduce Maria Hess.
It's really a pleasure to be here with you today to share a little information about our work towards creating a culture of transfer between the Maricopa community colleges and Arizona State University. But I have to start my remarks by saying that when I took this job 6 years ago, the provost of our university basically said, get over to see what's happening in Florida, because the Direct Connect program that UCF has with its partner community colleges is really the national leader. And so over the last 6 years, I've had fairly ongoing conversation with your folks, and I have deeply appreciated all that I learned in that regard. I also wanted to acknowledge President Schugert. He was in Arizona last week, wowing all of us as we held our wide transfer summit with all of the public community colleges and all of the public universities to discuss how we can improve our transfer student experience. And of course, he is just, you know, a knowledgeable and inspiring speaker. So thank you, Sandy, for doing that for us. So I might also add, or I guess it would help to have the PowerPoint up. So I might also add that I had a great day yesterday. I spent time at Valencia. I hope I'll get a chance eventually to visit all of the community college partners that are participating in UCF's Direct Connect program, because I know that there is much to learn from you as well. So today what I'm going to do is begin by having you hear from a few of our students. Now, I need for you to keep in mind that the video that I'm going to show you in a minute was made by students for students, and so there are some little glitches and problems, but with that said, I like the way that the students kind of put what's important to them out there for other students to learn from. And so I thought, starting with the voices of students and how they experience the transfer process would be a good start point for our discussion this morning. So with that, I hope I've got the volume of this up loud enough.
Arizona State University, having long history working together to support campuses just like you. They want you to be successful in our daily transfer, so they've created the Maricopa True ASU Task Program for Maricopa. Either you are interested in future education, business, graphic design, or any other career path, chances are you're halfway through you. Being on the pathway will help you maximize your community college credit and will save you time and money.
20 years old. I recently graduated from Chattanooga Community College. My major is communication. Some advice I'd give to a transfer student is to constantly meet with your advisor. That's what makes the process smooth. So some people will complain, oh, if it wasn't as easy as people say. 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, if you meet with your advisor, they will keep you on track. They will make the transition so smooth that once you graduate, you're going to ASU the next semester, and it's like you never missed it. College is a one-of-a-kind experience, and I would not want to be anywhere else but this.
Signing up for MAP is easy. Just meet with your community college advisor who will follow and subscribe to you. One thing we keep in MAP is you will have met the requirements for university to create MAP benefits or to American Indigenous ASU eligibility allowing you to finish the math program to the community college, you are guaranteed a spot to transfer into your sixth grade here at ASU. After that, I transferred over to the ASU, and you bring the rest of the correlated. So right now I'm in the animal physiology behavior program, and I'm really excited to graduate in my career.
I actually dropped out of high school when I was 17, and then after several years of volunteering and working and meeting people who are really successful, I realized that the one thing that brings them both up is that they have some level of higher education and a lot. When I earned my GED, just shy of my 27th birthday, I knew that I needed to get into education, but I didn't know exactly where to go or what to do, and that's where math came in. Math is just what it sounds like. It's a math. It really laid out what exactly I need to do at the community college level to be able to qualify for a university education. And so transfer everything that I've done at the community college to ASU and do that, which is pretty practical. I started out at NCC, and then I transferred over to Arizona, mainly because I started working full-time at Bank of America. At Rio Salado, my end plan was always to transfer over to ASU and study nutrition science. I transferred to ASU in August of 2012, so right after I graduated from Salado. It's pretty incredible to think that a decade ago I was a high school dropout, and now I'm at a top 10 master's program. And I have to say that directly through my transition to the math program, when I attended Maricopa Community Colleges, they did a wonderful job in providing a good quality education. Studying at ASU was a wonderful experience too, because it allowed me to study a lot more independently and work with a large and diverse group of individuals to setting up for successful career.
Ranked one of the top 100 universities in the world, ASU has it all, plus linked to the whole, as a sunsettle in the world screen, the word academic. Top 5 work on substances, multi-science, average student know, one, student literacy, counseling, career services, 300 plus undergraduate majors, more than 200 clubs, and athletics. So what are you waiting for? Talk with your community college advisor and sign up for your math day. Go Sun Devils!
They are very cute. So I hope you enjoyed hearing from a few of the students about a program which didn't even exist 6 years ago. And now I'd like to share the story of how we got there. And again, Jeff and Angie and others here have been so helpful in sharing information that it's been pivotal to our program getting off the ground. So we're fortunate that there were some foundations in place in Arizona already that created an environment where it was possible to move towards deepening the relationship between the universities and the community colleges. AZTransfer is a statewide organization that coordinates discipline-specific articulation task forces, which discuss course equivalencies, and that they also maintain a course equivalency guide. AZTransfer also coordinates a shared course numbering system. We call it the SUN system, with SUN, Shared Unique Numbering System. And they coordinate the ASSIST database, a shared database of information between the community colleges and the university. The Arizona General Education Curriculum, or AGEC, AGEC we call it, has been in place now for nearly 2 decades. And with that particular agreement, when a student completes the AGEC at any of the public community colleges, it satisfies the lower division general studies requirements at all of the public universities within the state. Additionally, there's a defined set of transfer degrees and a structure for those that is agreed upon statewide, including the Associate of Arts, the Associate of Science, the Associate of Business, and the Associate of Arts in Elementary Education. So the Maricopa Community Colleges and Arizona State University are both co-located in the Phoenix metropolitan area. And of course, we have a long history of working together. But we signed a memorandum of understanding in 2005 while I was still working in the Maricopa Community Colleges to create what we then called the Alliance Partnership. In December of 2008, we revised that agreement and focused on the express purpose of creating a culture of transfer between our institutions, which happened to be the largest community college system and the largest university within the state of Arizona. Within the agreement, we committed to creating transfer pathways that would provide guaranteed admission not just to the university, but into specific majors at the university. We now call that program the Maricopa to ASU Pathways Program, or MAPP MAP. So I'd like to describe the core elements of the design of that program, and then I'll show you some of the tools that are available for the students to use in that program. So each pathway is inclusive of the lower division general studies requirements and the major preparation courses for the specific major they aspire to complete at ASU. Thus, when the students enter the university, they come in as a true junior, having 60 or fewer credits remaining to be completed at the university. And our, just so you have a point of reference, our university bachelor's degrees are 120 credit hours, semester credit hours in length. In each pathway, we've built in the critical tracking courses. Now, at ASU, they use that term, a critical course, because they've looked at the data for the courses that are correlated with success in a major. And so at the university, in our internal major maps, we know which courses are predictive of success in the major, and they're outlined and kind of sprinkled through all the semesters of study. We decided in the transfer pathways we would also include those particular indicators of success so that the student and the community college advisors would have the benefit of knowing whether or not that major was going to be an appropriate fit for a student. Simplifying the transfer process was important to us, so the courses on a pathway aren't identified in the university language, rather they're identified in the particular community college's course names, titles, and numbers. So that makes it possible for an advisor or a student to not have to take the university pathway and then go get the course equivalency guide or the course catalog or other tools in order to translate back. So everything's kind of focused on reading it from the student's point of view at the community college. Another goal was to make the information accessible and consistent. All of the MAP documents and resources are accessible online 24/7. So students, advisors, parents, and others can access the information as needed via our shared website, which is housed on the university side at ASU. And then we've developed a series of technology tools that further guide and personalize the transfer experience. And we have assigned transfer specialists for each of the community colleges, which has allowed us to scale to serve a larger number of students. Our mantra, our pledge to students, is there really should be no surprises. A student does not want to find out after they have spent 2, 3, 4 years at their community college that they were taking the wrong things, and that, you know, oh, that was a social science, but that wasn't the social science we need in this major or that program. That's very frustrating to students. So we committed to outlining any special requirements clearly for the pathway document so that they would understand any other little extras that would be necessary for entry into a given major. So if, for example, a given major requires a higher grade point average or GPA, or as in the case in some majors like social work or teacher education, they require fingerprint clearance, those things we identified right at the top of the pathway document. Lastly, we tried to tie tangible incentives to the program to help students see the value or the benefit in completing their entire pathway. not just parts of it. So students who complete all of the pathway requirements receive guaranteed admission to the major that they want to study in at the university. And these are schools like the W.P. Carey School of Business, the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Communication, the Fulton Schools of Engineering, schools that these students do want access to. Students receive support while they're in the program from both their community college and university advisors and other staff. And the pathways are cost-effective and time-efficient because they help students to reduce excess credit and thus reduce time to completion or graduation. So our goal, as we began to conceptualize it and design it, actually after conversation with many of you, was that the system needed to have benefits for all of the parties involved. The community colleges were very interested in completion initiatives because they wanted to increase the numbers of associate degrees that they were awarding. And so we've incorporated a complete associate degree into each of the pathways, or in the few instances where the associate degree is not completed in its entirety before recommended transfer to the university, we have an automated reverse transfer of credit program for those students so that eventually there is an associate degree earned on the way into the bachelor's. Pathways help the universities because they incent students to become academically prepared for the specific major that they want, and we know from looking at data that those students who come prepared are more likely to persist to completion of their baccalaureate degree. Most of all, they help the students because the program is designed around student success data, encouraging completion of major milestones along the route to success. So with that background on the core design principles, I'd now like to briefly describe the process and some of the tools that we use to help students. So I placed on your table a couple of documents, one of which is a pamphlet, and students learn about the MAP program from a variety of sources, including their community college advisor, brochures like this one, the community college website, ASU representatives who spend time on the community college campuses, sometimes their high school advisors, and others. Now, all of the websites that I'm going to show you here are listed on the back of this particular pamphlet, so no need to write them all down. They're right there for you on the back of the pamphlet. So as I mentioned, ASU hosts our joint transfer website. It's easy to find, transfer.asu.edu/Maricopa. And that allows a student to learn more about ASU, various majors, and specifically the Maricopa to ASU Pathways program. Once a student decides that they do want to transfer to ASU, and they know what they want to major in, then they're really ready to sign up for the MAP program. They sign up for the program with their community college advisor. The community college advisor enters an academic plan code in their student records system at the community college. Then each week we run a batch file that collects all the new folks who have signed up for the MAP program and sends that data over to us at ASU. Shortly thereafter, the university starts a communication flow to those students. So we'll say something like, you know, welcome future Sun Devil, we're delighted that you've begun your studies at Scottsdale Community College and that you're interested in majoring in biology at ASU. You know, please don't forget, here are the courses you should be taking at Scottsdale Community College, and should you have any questions, here is the students starting in the upper right-hand corner and kind of moving around clockwise. And I'll zoom in because I know that most of you can't see the details on this. Not that you really have to. So let me start up in the upper right-hand corner. The student's transfer specialist, or their point person, is identified. And in addition to her picture, in this case it's Erica Camarillo, her contact information is provided so that it's easy for the student to email her. You just click on the link, it starts an email for you, or call her, or otherwise know when she would be available on site on in Teachers College, and so there's a box there that academic unit at the university can populate with information that might be useful to a prospective student. And we also have some reminders like this in the form of banner ads. Down at the bottom, what would be the bottom of the first column, the right-hand column, there's a calendar that's populated with dates important for transfer students to be aware of. Scholarship deadlines, financial aid deadlines, when classes begin, when orientation. Circling back up the other side, there is information provided about financing one's education, including the shortcut links to the tools that students most want access to. The cost estimator, how much would it cost if I went to the university? Are there any transfer scholarships? Yes, many. And tools. Just above the finances section is a section with the student's transfer details outlined. So this would have when the student signed up for their pathway program at the community college, when they hope to transfer to the university, what community college they're currently attending, and what bachelor's degree they aspire to complete. So in this case, this student signed up in the spring of 2015, probably just within the last 3 or 4 months. They would like to be at ASU by the fall of 2017. That's within that 3-year time frame. If that changes, they can modify the term. They're currently a student at Glendale Community College on the west side of Metro Phoenix, and they aspire to complete a Bachelor of Arts in Education with a concentration in special ed in elementary education. And then in the uppermost corner of the portal, we have important information about the student's progress program. And we use green, yellow, red symbolism at ASU. Milestones towards the completion. So first thing in this case, the student knows that the grade point average they're currently achieving at their community college is meeting the standard necessary for admission into this pathway program with a guarantee. Next, it indicates to them that their general studies, their AGEC requirements, have not yet been met. So those are not yet completed. Their associate degree is not yet completed. And the course requirements on the map, which is like a subset, a specific variation of the associate degree, are also not yet completed. And then you'll notice that there's 2 links right below those major milestones. One says Transfer Agreement Course Plan, the other says Pathway Tracker. So if a student clicks on the Transfer Agreement Course Plan, that brings up what we think of as the map, the list of courses the student should be taking at their community college. So I know this is really tiny, but this is what a map would look like. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it better, but at the top of the document, it outlines what degree the student is interested in pursuing, and then any special requirements are listed up there. Then in Maricopa, course numbers and titles, the courses are listed. I'll zoom in so you can see that section of it. So for example, with each course, we indicate which of the requirements are being addressed by taking that course. Although actually the students have told us that they just want the list, the advisors at the community colleges often want to understand what requirements are being addressed, and that's helpful for the registrar's office when they're doing graduation checkouts and things as well. So you'll notice in this case that when the student takes COM 225 in the Maricopa colleges, which is the public speaking course, it's 3 semester credits, and the little dot under the column AGEC, it's addressing one of their AGEC requirements, and it's also addressing ASU tracking requirements. So for the teaching major, public speaking is a critical course. It's predictive of success in the major, and now the student and the community college advisor are also aware of that. So if you were to scroll down to the bottom of the document, you would see that this particular set of 60 credits at the bottom of the document completes all of the requirements for the Arizona General Education curriculum. So it satisfies the lower division general studies requirements at all 3 of the state universities in Arizona. It addresses all of the requirements for the Maricopa associate degree, and it's half of the bachelor's degree in this particular area. So now I'm back at the student's MyASU portal, and a moment ago I showed you what happens when a student wants to review their plan, but there's also a link in the upper left-hand quadrant that says Pathway Tracker. So this is a relatively new tool that we've developed whereby a student can track their individual progress towards completion of their pathway. And we do this, you may wonder, well, how do they do that? Well, we do it through the electronic exchange of transcripts back and forth between our institutions. So by pulling in their electronic transcript from a Maricopa college, we can populate this pathway tracker tool so that we can show a student not just, you know, hey, take this list of courses and try to remember which ones you've taken and which ones you haven't, but rather exactly in live time what they've taken and what remains to be done. So this is, if I had clicked on that pathway tracker link, what the pathway tracker tool looks like. And I'm going to enlarge various parts of the screen again as I speak because I know it's too small for most of you to see, but I wanted you to see the overview of it. So up at the top of the document, you'll notice that it just reiterates the key information for this student, that they want to be an education major, that they signed up at Glendale Community College in the spring of 2015, that they'll earn an Associate of Arts in Elementary Ed, etc. Then in the body of the document is the list of required coursework that they should be completing while they're at the community college. In front of each requirement, there's a checkbox, and the box will display a big green check mark in it if the requirement has been addressed, and then a half check mark if a course is currently in progress that is going to meet the requirement, or it'll be completely empty or blank if the requirement remains to be completed. So the community college student can actually see which coursework that they've taken applies to the degree that they're after. So let's take that first line there where it says first year composition and read across under the column that says course taken. So the student took English 101 in the fall of 13 and earned a transfer grade of an A, and then they took English 102 in the spring of 14 and earned a transfer grade of an A. Thus, in front of first year composition would be the check mark done. And as you look down the list, some things are done. Some things, like the COM 225, is currently an in-progress course. It says COM 225. They're currently taking it in the spring of 15 right now. And so it's a transfer course in progress. That's what the TIP would stand for in our system. That's both in the community college world, they use that nomenclature as we do at the university. And then anything blank are the things that the student remains to have completed. So in addition to the student being able to track their progress, advisors and other individuals who the Maricopa colleges identify as having been trained schools which are housed on the ASU system. It serves as a degree audit of sorts, but with the specific pathway requirements for a given major at the university. Now, every now and then, a student will point out that something doesn't show. That may be because they took the course, but not at a Maricopa community college with which we're in their electronic transcript. It's more and more often the case students have attended, sometimes 2, 3, 4 different institutions. They took a course through the University of Phoenix, then when they used to live here in Florida, they took something, and now they've moved to Phoenix, and they show up to their advisor's office and they say, just help me find the fastest way to a bachelor's degree. And the advisor then has to know, well, how is the university going to accept these courses that were from other institutions? And so we've built another tool that has helped us address that problem. So you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little link that says course data being used. If a student clicks on that link, I didn't bother to put it all in place, but basically it pulls up which transcripts are being used to populate the checklist. So if they say, oh, well, they don't have the courses I took at Santa Monica, then they would know that that's missing. And they may say, well, built a transfer credit guide that basically is a front-facing database that allows a student or an advisor or a parent or a person at the university, anybody really, to see how ASU counts its course equivalencies. So let's say, for example, if a student had taken a course in California at Santa Monica College, they would use these little drop-down menus to select the state and the institution. And they can, if they wanted to, they can narrow it by prefix or by course number or by other things, but it pulls up all the coursework that has been articulated so that they can begin to build a coherent educational plan towards completion of their degree, which is the goal. This particular tool basically shows all of our in-state and out-of-state, public and private 2-year and 4-year equivalencies. It just basically takes what used to be behind the scenes and makes it visible so that other people can also see it. It has also created consistency, because what used to happen at ASU, when I arrived, here was a common story in the community college world. Student A and student B were in the same class together in the Maricopa colleges. Student A finds Professor X at the university and says, what is this course equivalent? What would my history course be worth at the university? They had one answer. And student B goes and finds instructor Y and asks the same question. They were taking the same class and they get different answers. And so they take different things. This basically holds everybody accountable, because all of this is also programmed in from the admissions side, so that when the student transcript comes in, it just reads the equivalency and drops it into place, thus saving the university advisors a lot of time in terms of planning. There's also a link for submitting additional courses for evaluation. I don't know if you can see it, but in the upper right-hand corner where it says My Transfer Courses, a couple lines down it says Submit a Course for Evaluation. That's so if a student doesn't find their course on that list, but I'm pretty sure that the communication course, the biology course, the political science course I took at Bluegrass Community College is essentially the same thing that you're teaching